Welcome to 2 cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz, and I'm Rue. Back after a little minute off, but wasn't really a lot of boxing content out there. Didn't want to give y'all any like reach content. Wanted to make sure we had some solid topics, and in the vein of solid topics, I want to talk about what looks like it's going to go down probably not Cinco de Mayo weekend, but maybe September, which is Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. Turkey Al-Ashish seems to really be backing it. So it seems like the funding's going to be there. It does look like we're going to get Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. So just initial reaction when you hear that news. Are you excited? Are you disappointed? What's your feelings when you hear that we're going to get Canelo versus Terrence Crawford?
I wouldn't say excited is the word. I think it's more so curiosity, and not in the way most people think, right? And I'll explain that in a minute, but it's more so like, okay, it is an interesting enough fight. We know Terrence Crawford is an all-time great. We know Canelo's a legend in the sport, but it is interesting to see Tim Bradley's voice. Canelo bent the knee and kissed the ring, but surprisingly, he did decide to take the fight. I guess money talks, and Turkey Ali Sheik is making these fights happen. So initially, when I kind of heard about it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of just curious to see how well Crawford does in this fight. He's moving up 2 weight classes, which is a lot. I really don't give him much of a chance to win that fight, right? But I am curious to see, how well he performs, right? And potentially, see if he proves us wrong, right? Or prove me wrong in a sense. So it is an interesting enough fight for me to watch for sure. What about you?
Yeah. To me, my initial reaction, I'm not gonna lie, like you said, Terrence is a legend, but I just feel like this is a bit of a slap in the face of boxing, to be honest with you. Like, there's guys at Canelo's weight class that he should have fought, right? And yes, I know people are gonna jump in the comments. They're gonna say, "Oh, David Benavidez is at 175 now, but he was at 168 trying to get the Canelo fight and he couldn't get it, so he moved to 175." Right? I get it, Terrence is daring to be great, but 154 looked really interesting, right? And I mean, it would have took a few fights for him to get to undisputed, but it seemed like there was some competition there. We just seen Virgil Ortiz fight for his life and sneak away with a win, right?
I would say more of a gift than sneak, but
Yeah, more of a gift. We just seen Tim Tszyu get stopped. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like there is competition. There's still that Fundora fight out there because the Errol Spence fight appears to be off, right? So there's just so much competition at 154. I would have just loved to see him run that gauntlet to undisputed, right? But I get it. Canelo's the biggest name in boxing. You're gonna get the biggest payday. If you beat him, you get all the belts. I believe he's still undisputed. I don't know if they've stripped him of any of the belts. Nevertheless, if you win that fight, what it does for your name, right? There's no comparison. But I would have just loved to see him run the gauntlet at 54 and love to see Canelo fight David Benavidez. And it's just like the dancing around fighting Benavidez, I just think it's a slap in the face to boxing, to be honest with you, as a true boxing fan that I am.
yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you there. Like the fact that, duck Benavidez for years, but at the end of the day, we can't put a gun to his head and force him to fight whoever, person he wants to fight. So I think it makes less sense for him to take that fight. And I thought he's going, stand on business and be like, nah, like I'm still not going to want to fight this guy. But it seemed like he kind of backtracked on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
say Terrence has more to gain, and Canelo has more to lose, right? And then even if Canelo wins, it's like Terrence Crawford was a smaller guy. He was supposed to lose,
Yeah, that 1,000%. If Terrence, like, this is Terrence's cash out fight. I believe he's gonna retire after this fight. If Terrence goes in there and win, all timer, right? People are gonna start saying this dude is the greatest ever, whatever they're gonna say. If he loses, they're gonna be like, he dared to be great. He moved up all those weight classes. This is a guy who started at 135, fighting somebody at 168, right? No one's gonna give him any flack for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for him, it's like low risk, high reward. But for Canelo now, if he loses that fight, oh, they're gonna tear him apart. But me personally, I can't see Canelo losing that fight. I don't like the fight. I've been on the record not liking this fight. I don't think it's gonna be that close because what we've seen historically with Canelo is if you cannot hurt him, he's gonna stalk you and that ring's gonna start to feel real small. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna hit Canelo in the shoulders and his arms and his chest, anywhere that he could hit him to make him start feeling that pain, right? And then eventually, that starts to hurt, starts to ache. Next thing you know, your reflexes are a bit slower. And I'm not saying this is exactly how the fight's going to play out. I don't know how the fight's going to play out, but I have Canelo winning the fight, and I don't really think it's going to be that close. I just don't think Crawford can do anything to hurt him.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I could definitely see it being a stoppage for sure. It's just, you move up 2 weight classes and your first fight is against that type of guy. And I think people is making the same mistake. The same casual fans is making the same mistake when they assessed the Jermell Charlo fight and the Canelo fight. And we said the same thing. You're like, just because you walk around much heavier, don't mean, it would translate in your fight weight. You know what I mean? You can walk around bigger than Canelo or even the same weight as Canelo. Don't mean come fight night, especially if y'all fighting at 2 different weight classes, right? Because Jermell was fighting at 154. He jumped up to 168, put on all that size, still the bigger man, you can argue, but he's not used to taking those type of punches. Canelo is usually fighting guys bigger than he is. You know what I mean? And Canelo's probably walking around, 190 typically, I would say?
Yeah.
Maybe close to 200. But he's a shorter guy, but he's fighting guys that's usually bigger than he is, right? So taking those punches, dishing those punches, and then he has one of the best chins in boxing. Like, what are you going to really do? And he's a skilled fighter. Yes, Crawford is more skilled than Jermell. We know that, right? But it's usually size and power, that takes you a long way, and if Triple G could drop Canelo, ain't no way in hell fucking Crawford is going to drop or stop Canelo. You know what I mean? So too much variables against Crawford to give him a shot, you know what I mean? Or to give him a reasonable shot in this fight.
Yeah. I think what's interesting in that fight is, like, we know Terrence has the skill, right? Terrence has the skill, great counter puncher, switch hitter. But the thing with Canelo's been a little bit lazy lately. His head movement hasn't been on point. So can we see Canelo get touched? Yeah, but Crawford's output isn't super high either. I know Canelo's output's not super high, but neither is Crawford. So you're gonna let Canelo comfortably walk you down without too much fire. And then, like I said, even when you hit him, I don't think how can I say it better than what you just said? Triple G wasn't able to put this guy down. So it's like, what are you gonna hit him with to make him say, I'm not gonna pursue Crawford? You know what I'm saying? So I just think that ring's gonna start to feel real small. Body shots. Canelo's still defensively sound enough, even though like we're not seeing the head movement we saw in the Daniel Jacobs fight, but he's still sound enough defensively. He's still crafty enough, right? That those some of those hooks that you don't necessarily see. And I don't know, bro. I don't want this fight for Crawford. I would prefer him to just fight at 54. But hey, like I said, I know this is the big payday. He'll make the biggest payday of his career. So it's like, how can you turn that down? But me, I just personally don't like this fight.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah. So Crawford is Turkey's guy. It's obvious. So Turkey's gonna fork out that cash. I think they've come to terms that, all right, we're gonna have to pay Canelo. So even if Crawford gets 50 million, Canelo's gonna have to get close to 100 million. So I think they've come to terms with that. I don't think both guys are about to make 50 million. I think they understand Canelo's the cash cow. He's the A side. I think they're gonna pay him as such, which I think is the only reason he has entertained this fight. You know what I mean? But I do think this is Bud's cash out fight. Take this, walk off into the sunset. Had a hell of a career, first ballot Hall of Famer, but I just think this is a bad matchup.
It is a bad matchup. I can definitely agree with that. It definitely is.
Yeah, but jump in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Maybe we're just tripping. Maybe we don't see it. Maybe Crawford is gonna do him like Floyd Mayweather did him. Just explain to us, what chance Crawford stands in this fight. And I get it, right? Skill. You can argue he's the more skilled fighter, but can he hit him with anything to hurt him? Can he do anything? Is he just gonna outbox him for 12 rounds? Let me know your opinion, because we can both be wrong. Been wrong on this show before. Just want to hear from you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to check that comment section.